together in another space with people who are in a distant or remote location as well. I called it in some places blended synchronous learning, so mixing locations in the same space. And delighted that we were able to offer this as part of Cities International Week as well, because this is a great opportunity of some of the ways that our staff have been able to do exactly that. So bringing people in from outside into their classes, or connecting different locations together. And I wanted to use this as an opportunity to share some of that experience. And hopefully there'll be plenty of things to learn and to find out more about what kind of problems have people encountered, what kind of challenges have people had to overcome in these cases as well. I should just say that the session is currently being recorded as well. So there'll be a version of this later online. Obviously, as you can see, photos are being taken as well. So if anybody has any big objection to being in a photo, do let me know with a sort of quiet flag on the floor or something like that. Now, we've got an online audience as well. There's probably not everybody that I was hoping to get in, but as many as we could. A handful of people online. One of them is one of our presenters who is in a different country at the moment. We've got people from other institutions and also from City who are joining us online as well. We've got 3 speakers. I'll introduce them shortly. There's going to be plenty of opportunity to ask questions as well. I haven't given my name yet, have I? For those who haven't seen me before, my name's Dom. I work for Lead. And if you want to have a text record of your questions, then you can download the Adobe Connect mobile app. You're welcome to join the session yourselves at the same time. Obviously, those of you that are in the room, we're going to use this to pick up your questions as well. So I'll make sure that when we start throwing phone boxes around, there's no coffee on tables or juice hanging around. Okay. Also, for the hope with this, the intention is to begin to open a conversation as well. So I'm aware that we may raise a whole lot of stuff that we don't have the opportunity to cover fully in the session today. So City Skype You In, I'm using this as the Twitter hashtag. If you want to join in the conversation during or after the event, we may find some of our speakers, myself would be happy to field questions through Twitter as well. So I'm going to hand over to our first speaker, who is Dr. Ivan Sikora from Mass Computer Science and Engineering. And I'm going to leave you the floor for a bit.
Thank you, Dominic. Well, welcome again. I know it's lunchtime and probably someone is tired. You got your food. Hopefully we will not put you to sleep. You've seen already a part of our delivery, setting up the classroom, setting up the connectivity in this particular way of delivery is a challenge at times. So hopefully through our presentations and through interaction today, we might iron some of these out. Once again, my name is Ivan Sikora. I'm a senior lecturer in air transport engineering and air safety management, and I've got a crazy idea. I wanted to bring my colleagues from the industry into the classroom. And of course, you will say, yeah, that's aligned with the strategy of the university, and that's very much what we are looking for via University for Profession and Businesses. It was on my mind, but actually it has been proven that it was not that simple as we thought in the beginning. So, even before I wanted to do that, and I don't know where and how to move my slide.
Just the little arrows in the bottom corner there.
Yeah. There have been some situations in our history, at least they've been told to us during the written records, that people wanted to stream very high and got burnt. So Icarus and Daedalus, as we can see here, tried something that I can compare to our attempts. Poor guy, Icarus wanted to fly high. He had everything what he needed. He had feathers, he had wax, he had an older senior advisor, and somehow he didn't get lucky. Luckily for us, we are not in this type of situation very often, but as you will see from my presentation, sometimes there are close calls. So, in essence, we wonder how can we expose our students, your students, to a real industry they study. We've done our degrees, we've been more or less lucky in getting a proper exposure to the industry that we have been aiming at, we wanted to get involved with, and that industry itself might be so close to your touch, but you haven't been able to exactly go behind the scenes of the industry. We all fly aircraft. I use my students in the undergraduate program to expose to this type of teaching. I always ask them, what's your experience in aviation industry? And of course, we all fly aircraft. You see the check-in, you see the security, you see the border control, you board the aircraft, there are some crazy sounds going on. You take off, you sleep, you eat, you watch movies, and you land. And that's aviation industry. But our students, they want more than that. They are to be designers, pilots, handlers on the ground. They need to see industry behind the scenes. And imagine me bringing a class of 30 on a Heathrow to see the ramp, to see the ground operations. It would be probably quite a big challenge. So I thought of getting them in touch with the industry via some other mode. And ideally, having people like Dominic and others from LEAD and Education Technology Support, we have got in a position that we can do that seamlessly in a virtual way. Dominic, if you don't mind, I missed something. Well, yeah, that's great. So when recruited by City University, we offered what we know. We are subject matter experts. We know our trade. We know how to talk to people. Hopefully, the information that we share with them, it's useful for them at that stage. And we know how to empower them to go ahead in their life, bringing that knowledge to a good use. Well, at the same time, what we also have, we have people from industry that is flourishing at the moment, education technology industry, that in my time when I was a student hasn't existed, as far as I know. Those people are behind the scenes, like nice white swans on a lake, paddling like crazy under the surface, but graciously helping us to do what we want to do. Finally, and that is where I see a great potential of this technology, we have people in our own network who are hidden to our students, who are really actioning, practicing professionals, who might give a new flavor, that magic feather to our intentions to fly, that is going to help our students to take even to the higher grounds. So in essence, when we talk about the remote lecturing, I woke up one day and I was thinking like this: is there a way I can connect to a third party through remote connection? I don't want to feel that distance. I want for people in a classroom to feel connected with a person. Of course, like today, I want to have a recording of this because it's good for revision. It's good to present also the way, the techniques we have in presentation. And also, I'd love to have a two-way communication. I'd love for them to feel like yourself in this situation, being able to raise a hand and ask me a question, or being able to communicate to me in any other way, verbally, visually, so we can manage that seamless communication. And then I shared my pains or my blue sky thinking with Dominic, and we starting putting together things for this type of lecture. Skype, WhatsApp, Adobe Connect. These have been the options I knew, but I didn't know how to integrate the sound and the video and the seamless communication. That is where Dominic and the communication education technology can come very handy. We moved far away from the situation when we had just a simple electronic box on our desk connecting through myriad of the USB connection to everywhere in the classroom. We have it here now. It's a catch box. It's the version 3.0 of our classroom. It's actually iteration of what we had at the beginning. The whole process hasn't been very straightforward. We have had times where actually before the classroom, we had to spend time until 11 o'clock in the evening fine-tuning the lecture for the next day at 8 o'clock in the morning. But still, the lecture went on, and we've been quite happy and I would say successful in delivering the content. So, without too many of details in a scholarly thinking behind the scenes, because if you need those, you can reach to us through the hashtag or through any means of communication, and we are very happy to share with you what is behind the scenes of this particular delivery. I have to tell you that how I see the whole process is really a process of a dream team that's helping us to deliver this type of lectures. So, in essence, a subject matter expert in a classroom, like this, supported by education technology that is giving us a means and infrastructure to communicate, and finally, having industry professional, in our case, on the 12-hour time zone difference, almost falling asleep when delivering lecture in the morning for us, sharing with the students the intricate details of the industry they'd love to be a part in the future. So, these are the elements, and the wise thing to do is reach out to education technology, reach out to us who have done some of these hands-on already, and the outcome, hopefully, is be much more successful than the outcome from the beginning of this story. Your classroom might learn to fly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Pleasure.
So, don't just go just yet, though. Now, somebody from UCL would like to join us, I think. Thank you very much. Okay. So, has anybody used one of these before? You may get the opportunity to. So, this is a wireless microphone, and it's a means of, we've been using it as a means of making the connection between the people who are in the room and people who are somewhere else. I'm plugging it into Adobe Connect. So, first of all, I'd like to start. Does anybody in the room have any questions for Ivan? And if you are joining online, then do please feel free to add, I should be looking at a camera, there we go. For those of you joining at home, if you could type any questions that you have into the chat window, we'll try and field those there. We'll take a few minutes of questions, and then we'll head over to our next speaker. So, anybody in the room have a question for Ivan? I won't throw, I'll pass. There we go. If I see coffee, I can lob gently.
I don't know if this is going to be a simple question or a complex one. What was the biggest technical difficulty you had with setting up this situation?
Pass the, no, you can chuck it back. This is where we do need two of these boxes in the room.
Being a generalist in this field of the technology, I thought everything is so simple. That was probably the biggest challenge itself. I didn't know how much of a challenge is going to be once we promote, we are going to have you in a classroom with the other people. And then where the people who are much more informed about technology came very handy. So initially, what I observed before we had one of these, it was the communication in between different elements, the software itself, and the hardware that has to transmit video and audio signal to and back New Zealand, in my case, at the right moment, at the right time. In the last instance of our lecture, I remember we lost the synchronous video and audio signal, so for the recording, maybe the whole recording was not revision worthy. But still, probably people can download MP3 and listen to the audio recording. So I would say it looks seamless at the end. Of course, as always, be aware that it probably takes much more time that you think initially. And once it's going well, again, be wary of potential snags. And that would be my simplest answer. Yeah? Anything to add from your side?
That covers things pretty comprehensively.
Okay, great. Thanks for your question.
All right, do we have another question in the room? I should have put some plants in here as well, shouldn't I? Any questions online? There we go, thank you. It's obviously more fun when you throw these things, but
I'm slightly nervous. It's well padded, isn't it? So if we dropped it, then I just wanted to ask about the industry professionals. How easy or difficult did you find it to get them to take part, and what's in it for them, I guess?
Great question. Actually, that is something that we still have to define. I played on a past relationship to the person. We worked together. I know him quite well. So it was just a question of extending invitation and actually fine-tuning the time zone differences. In my view, we need to offer to them something. For us, for Dominic and myself, we think of offering a memento of our city, University of London, a hoodie or some garment as well. In addition to inviting the person to be part of our study itself. So when we formalize the output of these particular examples, we plan to put him as a co-author of our papers. So this is how we see the engagement working for both sides.
yeah, it becomes a nice way to collaborate with industry as well, so that there's a kind of industry or the sector beyond education as well. So we kind of use these tools to break the barriers down a little bit wherever we can. Okay, we've got a question for Catherine.
And just the global nature of the industry, especially in case of aviation, I think it's inherent that you might need to reach across the zones, not just having local experts. Thank you.
Okay, we've got one more question in the room.
Sorry, from the law department. We try and have outside speakers come in the evening to talk to students, but we're finding the attendance is not what we'd like. So we could get somebody to sit in their office and do this. And then, but did you have people actually connecting like Stephen is now, typing in as well as the people in the room and the guy on the other end?
Great question. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I may have missed it.
The question is about the interaction online through even the mobile application for the Adobe Connect. Initially, we haven't thought of that. So in I think iteration 2 and 3, we have sourced that type of interaction as well, having in mind that we scheduled our classroom quite early in the morning, and with students not being able to wake up most probably, or not being able to commute early enough to make the class. So we had a number of people interacting. It worked quite well. Of course, you will need someone behind the scenes on a separate channel, maybe to coordinate this particular effort. So it's usually operator and presenter. So there's a two team.
But just to add to that, I mean, you know, there's 3 iterations of this particular class that we've run now, and we've kind of added certain layers to it every time. The second layer, we had students using the chat channel like this that were actually in the class. The third time, we did what you've described there as well. Because we were kind of wanting to walk before we flew.
I'm just thinking of Stephen's online masters people.
Yes.
Participating by typing.
Of course.
Then we have people in the room. We'll be able to connect a lot of different groups.
Exactly.
And then we recreate that synergy of the classroom, partially. Because sometimes, especially in the postgraduate, I think education, that synergy is actually bringing a new quality.
And if they're at a distance, they feel removed.
Yes.
So this is a way of making them feel happy.
It is.
So another point to add to what Ivan's been talking about, although there's obviously always going to be some sort of technical barriers when you're introducing these additional layers of complexity in there, part of what we've been trying to do is to make it appear as if some of those barriers are a lot lowered, so that while we're doing the thinking in advance, we're doing the, I'll be operating on the side, so Ivan can get on with the actual teaching, and that means that.
Can I just repeat the question as well?
Yeah. Okay. So can you type in the chat? Can you hear us now as well?
No, it was just the question.
Oh yeah. Sorry. So the question from the audience was about
Useful lesson.
yeah, it was about getting people typing, remote participants joining people in the room at the same time. Okay.